I don't know how Hyundai and Kia are doing this. Check this out. As we look back at the score sheet for third quarter 2025, we look at the sales results here. All right, BMW leapfrogging Lexus. I made a whole video about that. It is a fascinating development. All right, just when you thought Lexus was going to run away with the luxury sales crown this year, BMW's like, no. We've owned you for the last 5+ years. How about you take a back seat? And then we look at Honda and Acura already in the negative for the third quarter. Who knows what fourth quarter is going to bring? You got to keep in mind, Honda and Acura also benefited massively from selling a ton of EVs, heavily subsidized, not only by the tax credit, but also from their own finance department or incentives advertising department. They spent a lot of money on EVs, and it'll be interesting to see where their volume goes as a whole in the fourth quarter. And then you have Toyota, who's consistent, Mr. Consistent. Toyota up 16%, Lexus up 13%, just crushing it. But guess who's keeping pace with Toyota and Lexus? That's Hyundai of America bundled with Kia here. Look at this. Well, Genesis not keeping up with Lexus in terms of the growth, but they're continuing to grow. And I wouldn't be surprised if I lived in a world one day where Genesis is outselling Acura. They're already outselling Infiniti. Check this out. If we go down to Nissan here, Infiniti sold 13,000 units, which is about, I don't know, 3/5. Yeah, that's just a rough guess. A little bit more than half of what Genesis has sold. If we look at the total sales volume, Genesis is beating Infiniti by 20,000 units this year. But look at Hyundai and Kia though. Hyundai up 13%, Kia up 11%. As a whole, Hyundai Kia is up 12%. Absolutely bonkers. And where does that rank versus the rest of the year? Well, actually, Hyundai and Kia are accelerating. Hyundai's up 11% on the year, but this past quarter is 13%. So they're accelerating their sales. Kia up 9% on the year, up 11% on the last quarter. They are accelerating, at least quarterly. But now we're going to take a look individually at these companies, Hyundai and Kia. Guys, if you're excited, hit that like button, subscribe for more sales updates. I do it every single month. It makes me so happy. I don't know anyone else covering sales on automobiles on YouTube. There probably are people, but it's very niche. And if you're a nerd like me and you like looking at how the companies are doing, what kind of models are doing well, which aren't, make sure to subscribe. And I appreciate all of you guys out there in the YouTube world watching my content. Let's get into actually not Hyundai or Kia first. Genesis sales are really difficult, so we're going to go to Automotive News, and we're going to see if Automotive News has anything to say about Genesis here. Up 5%, like we mentioned, 12 straight months. So they've had a year of straight increases for Genesis. Even though their increase is only at 5%, 12 straight months is nothing to sneeze at of growth. Sales of the GV70, which I'm reviewing this week, by the way, GV70 with the twin-turbo V6, it is pretty darn good. Wait for my review. Is it as good as the GV80 that I reviewed earlier this year? Ooh, you're going to have to wait to find out what my thoughts are. All right. Genesis, the top seller is a GV70. It has advanced 29% to sell 3,000 units. Electrified GV70 jumped 170% to 248 units. Okay, well, you got to keep in mind EV tax credit is going away. And I love the electrified GV70. I reviewed it on the channel a couple of years ago. It was fantastic. It's incredibly fast. And the interior on it was just chef's kiss. It was really good. All right, so let's get straight into Hyundai now that we've covered Genesis, at least a small update on Genesis. You got to remember, Genesis also just killed their electrified G80, which was one of my favorite electric cars. But we're in the market right now where electrified vehicles are getting killed off. Acura killed the ZDX. The Aria was killed from Nissan, and I could keep going. All right, Hyundai Motor reports record-breaking September. Yes, they're breaking records right now. September increased 14%. Well, you got to go back, remember, to the sales tally here. For the quarter, Hyundai was up 13%. All right, so September was up even a little bit more, just a hair more, 14%, an all-time record. They also set a Q3 record for total and retail sales. Best month of total sales for key models like the IONIQ 5. Elantra Hybrid. Elantra Hybrid is still the undisputed king of fuel economy testing on my channel. I got 65 miles per gallon on it, I have optimal conditions here. It's warm in Florida. It's flat. It's sea level, whatever, right? It's perfect situation for achieving fuel economy. The Camry LE got close at like 62 miles per gallon. All right, Hyundai EV sales in Q3 jump 100%. Hybrids up 48%. And keep in mind, I'm going to drive next week. I leave on Monday to drive the new RAV4, which is going 100% fully electric, or should I say fully electrified. It's a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid. Obviously, that's a Toyota. But I'm saying like you're seeing huge jumps in hybrid volume and interest throughout the industry. Okay, people have had 20 years to acclimate to hybrids. People know that they're very reliable in most cases. You have good power and torque and great efficiency, and they run smoother and quieter than your average gas car. All right, so at least from in terms of just day-to-day usage, a hybrid is like the ultimate appliance. It's amazing. What Hyundai has coming down the hatch, and I'm driving in a month from now, early November, is the Palisade hybrid. And the Palisade hybrid is debuting a new hybrid technology that is going to be seen on things like the Elantra, like the Tucson, like all the Kia products as well eventually. I cannot wait to drive the new Palisade hybrid. I know I'm getting a little off track, and it's going to... It's the first of many successes because they're using that hybrid system, that 6-speed automatic, which is more fun to drive than any Toyota eCVT or Honda eCVT hybrid. So they're using a 6-speed automatic with new twin motors, which is something you typically see from Toyota or Honda, a twin motor hybrid setup, but they're using a 6-speed auto. So it's going to be more engaging and more fun to drive and more natural to drive. And they have incredible mix of not only power, but efficiency. So the new Hyundai Palisade hybrid, for example, 2.5-liter turbo has like 330 horsepower and it'll be getting 35 miles per gallon. Cannot wait. I'm really thrilled for it. Well, who said small sedans are dead? I've never thrown in the towel here. The Elantra's up 14%. If we look at, Q3 is in the middle. Q3 wasn't that great for the Elantra, but guess what? September was up 23%. IONIQ 5, these sales are short-lived, right? Because of the EV tax credit. Who knows what's going to happen to this vehicle? It's still one of my favorite EVs on the market. IONIQ 6, great car. It's not nearly as practical as a people or cargo hauler as the IONIQ 5, but it's still a very, very good car. IONIQ 9, fantastic 3-row EV, but very, very expensive. Just like the EV9. Just like the EV9, very, very good. Watch my review on the IONIQ 9 that I reviewed just a few weeks ago. Kona, here's what's something weird that I see in the industry right now, is that maybe because of tariffs, these low profit margin small crossovers are getting axed, or should I say the volume is diminishing on them. And I'm not quite sure why. And it also depends on the brand. But if you look at Mazda's CX-30, they're like, it's not even worth importing this thing right now at high volume. So I'm not quite sure. You see things like the Crosstrek from Subaru. You see things like the Nissan Kicks in the same segment taking off. But it's just interesting how different brands are focusing on their subcompact crossovers. And the Kona is just funky looking. If the Kona wasn't so funky looking, maybe people would be more interested. I'm not quite sure. Let's see here. Let's skip the fuel cell next. So they sold one. They sold one last quarter. Palisade. You got to keep in mind, here's a couple of things that's going on. Huge sales this year. It's up 13%. Up 27% on the quarter in Q3. But the problem with the Palisade is they're switching over, all right, to the new redesign. They're all coming in from Korea, so they're all being hit with tariffs now. And then the hybrid's coming as well. And so it's not, people might be waiting for the hybrid Palisade. And that might be why you see a drop in volume here. Or they're also having issues ramping up production with the new redesign. Cassie and I were at the farmer's market before this. We saw the new Palisade sitting there. It's very eye-catching. All right, if you want to see what the new Palisade is like to drive, I've driven the gas V6 version. It's fantastic. So watch my review on that. All right, Santa Cruz. Well, this pickup truck continues to disappear. Hyundai messed up, I think, a couple different ways with the Santa Cruz. One, no hybrid. It can't compete directly with Maverick. Two, it doesn't look like a pickup truck. Where you have something like the Ford Maverick that looks like a miniature pickup truck, the Santa Cruz looks like this weird conceptualized thing. I think pickup truck people just want something like more more normal looking. All right. I don't know if you guys agree with that. I don't know if that's the reason why the Santa Cruz is selling so poorly, but the fact that it doesn't have a hybrid is laughable and was definitely an oversight or undersight, whatever you want to call it, from Hyundai. They messed up. They messed up there at the Santa Cruz. But got to keep in mind, Santa Cruz is a precursor. Hyundai is going to be bringing body on frame truck. I'm not kidding. Hyundai is bringing body on frame truck. I believe Kia will probably get in on the action too. All right, think of something like a Tacoma Fighter, and they will have an SUV body on frame, something like an Xterra or a 4Runner coming as well, body on frame. Like the Santa Cruz, they'll discontinue it, and they're going to have something really unique, really special coming to satiate that more hardcore audience. All right, or just more usable body on frame, ladder frame audience out there, and I'm excited for it. In other markets, you have the Kia Tasman. All right, I wouldn't be surprised if they just say, hey, we're going to take the Tasman, we'll build it in America, maybe at the new Meta plant. I'm not quite sure. They're going to build it in America to avoid chicken taxes, import taxes, that sort of thing. And it's going to sell extraordinarily well. That's what that's what Honda's been missing forever. And you have Hyundai and Kia saying, screw it. We know what Americans like. They like body on frame SUVs and pickups, and we're going to give it to them. That's amazing. That makes me so excited that they're not scared of taking chances. And you have like Honda, who just made no chances with Acura, instead of went full BEV. Took no hybrids. They never went rear wheel drive. They never went body on frame. Honda, same thing, right? Oh, we're not going to take chances on large platform hybrids. People are going to want full EVs. They took a chance in the worst way possible, Honda. And then you have Hyundai and Kia. They're saying, hey, we already have the best EVs on the market, or right up there at the top with their 800-volt architecture. They have some of the best hybrids on the market. And then now they're going, hey, this is the one area we haven't been able to touch the domestic manufacturers or Toyota or Nissan even, and that's body on frame. Bring it on, Hyundai and Kia. If you can do everything else well, seemingly, besides the Santa Cruz, if you can do everything else well, I can't wait to see what they can do with body on frame. I know they have body on frame in other markets, like I said, the Kia Tasman for like Australia, for example. Cannot wait to welcome Hyundai Kia product body on frame. It's going to kick butt. Santa Fe, I mean, Cassie sees these things all the time. Me too. And we're always like, oh crap, what was that? Because it's a double take sort of vehicle, and that's amazing. Except it's bad when you see it from behind. It's like, oh, that's ugly. Why did they design their taillights so low? It's like the sagging pants sort of thing. All right. Or a dog pooping in the backyard sort of thing. All right. The Santa Fe's rear end is a catastrophe, but the rest of the design is a home run. The interior is a home run. The powertrain hybrid is a home run. Okay. So the Santa Fe is one of my favorite buys on the market. It's really, really good. I can't wait for them to ditch the dual clutch auto on it and put the traditional automatic, but that might not happen for another year or so. All right. So yeah, don't touch anything but the hybrid Santa Fe, because the dual clutch is a complete disaster. So don't buy that. Don't buy the Santa Fe non-hybrid. Despite that, look at this. Look at these sales. Look at up 28%. I'm seeing them everywhere. Up 28% on September, up 37% on the quarter. I'm going to look real quick. They had some crazy closeout sales for the Santa Fe, like 0% financing, Santa Fe hybrid, 332 in my area, a respectable amount. Ooh, I like it in red. Calligraphy. Is it worth 50 grand? Well, it's a bit much, but let's look at lowest price, because they're still well equipped at the lower end too. 30K, 31K, 34K for an SE. I don't mind these wheels. I think it matches that paint color and matches the car quite well. I like the red though. The red looks good. 35K. Remember, and these are 26s, but sometimes on the 25s, you can still get them from like 0% financing. There are no differences that I know between 25 and 26. So like, here's the thing. Like, this is a more usable 3-row vehicle than something like the Highlander hybrid. And it's more affordable, and it's just as efficient. And it looks better. Overall, it looks way better than the Highlander. Now, I'm not talking about Grand Highlander, because the Palisade is a more direct rival to that vehicle. All right, but love the Santa Fe. Shout out to the Santa Fe out there. What are most of the trim levels coming in? At least in my area, it's going to differ. Let's see here. We have a ton of calligraphies. Oh my gosh, a front wheel drive, which is fine with me because Hyundai, until the new hybrid comes out, their hybrids are all mechanical all-wheel drive, and that's great for off-roading. No one's off-roading in Santa Fe, really. All right. I would rather have e-axle all-wheel drive, how Toyota does it, which is more efficient. It's lighter. There's less maintenance. I would rather just take a calligraphy front-wheel drive hybrid, personally. But let's see here. Let's see. We got some blue SELs for the 8-passenger. That's pretty cool. They're trying to push a lot because they know the demand is so high for the hybrid. They're trying to push a lot for the calligraphy. The calligraphy is pretty expensive. Even a front-wheel drive here, $46K. $49K. That's a lot, but man, it looks good. Looks good. It's a good looking car. All right, let's get back to the sales for Hyundai right here. Sonata. Well, Sonata had been crushing it until this past quarter. It was up on the year. Now it's down on the year because it's tanked 25% this past quarter. Not sure what's going on there. Hyundai Tucson up 13% on the year, down on the quarter, but they had a great September. Okay, up 5% on. We need a new Tucson. The current design, I'm not going to say it's aged terribly. I just have never liked the current design on the Tucson. We'll probably get a redesign next year with a new hybrid system, and it's going to be like game on RAV4. It's going to be such good competition. All right, Hyundai Venue. People need cheap cars. It's up 77% on the previous month. Still pretty low volume. I mean, the Sonata's outselling it, and that's the thing. Like the Venue's up so much. It's up about 1,200 units, and we go back to the Kona. The Kona's down about 1,200 units. So they've just replaced some of that Kona volume with a more affordable Venue. All right, let's go to Kia. Kia doesn't give us percentages, and it is what it is. All right, what are some of the Kia's highlights? Record third quarter, just like Hyundai did. All right, year-to-date sales up 9% versus last year. Double-digit dealer sales growth through the first 3 quarters of 2025. Okay, year over year, Kia electrified models grow 26%, not quite as good as Hyundai. Sedans, 19% are up. Oh, that's for electrified models. And then electrified SUVs up 6%. EV9 achieves best any month and best any quarter records. Again, so the ending of the tax credit, families are like, hey, this is our last time. We got to pull the trigger to get the $7,500 off for the lease. All right, so yep, makes sense to me. Let's get into these numbers here. They don't do quarter, but they do September and year to date. EV9, again, great quarter, but it's still down 3,000 units on the year because there's just such little demand for 3-row EVs in America. Look, the EV6 sold almost as much for the quarter, but the EV6 and the EV9, not bad volume for EVs. You put them together, it's pretty good. But something like a Honda Prologue has sold as much, and the Prologue's not as good as EV as these Kias. Kia Forte. Here's the thing. Well, the Forte's dead. The K4 is the same thing. It's replaced it. This thing is crushing it. Look at this volume. Sold over 100. It's Kia's second best-selling car. Easily the second best-selling car. That is insane. Now, it had a terrible September, down about 1,500 units. But year to date, it's still up 3,000 units. The K4 is one of those vehicles that is just a stupid good buy. I reviewed it earlier this year. I want to see what deals are right now. These things are dirt cheap. And they have, until the new Sentra comes out, it's got a big styling advantage over the competition. The Corolla looks dumb. The Civic took a step back with the refresh with its looks. The Civic's also much more expensive. There's 975 K4s in my area. Yeah, I still think it's probably the best looking vehicle in its class, and we still don't have the wagon yet. Look at these, 23 grand. That's a good car for 23 grand. All right. I'm a big fan of this. Would I rather have a Nissan Kicks for about the same price? Ooh, that'd be tough. I'm a big fan of sedans, so I would probably take a Kia over the Nissan Kicks, like this Kia. I don't know. It's hard to say. It just ask me on a different day. But 20 grand, guys, 4 grand off of MSRP. 4 grand off of MSRP, sometimes a little bit less, 3 grand here. but close to $4,000 off of MSRP. This one's under $20,000 for a K4 LX. I know it's got wheel covers on there, but it's still a really good car for the money. Really, really good car. So K4 is just crushing it. It sold 107,000 units, about half of what the Civic or the Corolla has sold. But regardless, it's a very, very good. So let's look again at Hyundai. Where's the Elantra's at 116,000 units, also crushing it. And the Kia K4, 107,000. So pretty close. It's pretty close to the Elantra. K5 shouldn't be doing as well as it is, but something happened last year. I hardly see any new K5s on the road since they refreshed it. It's doubled up though versus last year. They've doubled the sales on this model. And I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if they had a supply chain hiccup or what, but they've sold 52,000. If we look back at the Sonata, it's at 45,000. The K5 looks a lot better than the Sonata, in my opinion. The Sonata has a hybrid. The K5 doesn't. So, yeah. Kia Soul, rest in peace. It's officially been discontinued. It's completely neutral on the year. Probably won't finish that way. Kia Niro, down 5,000 units. Just like the Hyundai Kona, it's down. At least it was up on the month of September, but it's down 5,000 on the year. 5,000 units on the year. It's not going to be a positive vehicle in the year. Kia Niro. Now, you got to keep the Niro and the Seltos kind of operate the same segment. The Niro's kind of a crossover, kind of a hatchback, and the Seltos is down 8,000 units on the year. So we're having like the Seltos is down, the Niro is down, their EVs are down, but they're having gains at the K4, the K5, the Sportage, which I have reviewed. It goes up, I believe, on Monday is when I have it posted. So I have my review on the Sportage non-hybrid going up soon. Sportage is just crushing it. Really, really solid car. All right. The hybrid's going to be really good. But anyways, the gas is a pretty solid vehicle. Crushing it, the Sportage. So while they're down a little bit with Niro and the Seltos, they're up like 15,000 units with the Sportage, which makes up for their drops and for other models. Sorento continues to grow. The month is about a wash, but year to date, they're up 5,000 units. Really good for the Sorento. The Sorrento's getting old. I feel like, yes, they got a big refresh on it. That helps with keeping people interested. I like the Sorento. Nothing wrong with it. It's pretty serviceable, 3-row crossover. Telluride's fantastic. We don't know what the redesigned Telluride's going to look like. I would assume it comes out a year from now, just like, well, the Palisade is hybrid's launching now. That's not stopping the Telluride selling like hotcakes. This one's made in America, in Georgia. So it's up about 12,000 units, 92,000 sales. If we go to the Palisade, 92,000 sales. They're neck and neck. It's fascinating how identical they are in sales. Telluride's down a little bit, just like the Palisade was. Interesting. Kia Carnival. Minivans are scalding hot. Scalding hot right now. Kia Carnival, it drives like ass, meaning the suspension is terrible. There's no body rigidity. You turn the wheels and it feels like the van's going to snap in half. Regardless, it has the best tech in class. It has an incredibly efficient powertrain in the hybrid. It has tons of room, and it looks like an SUV. So a lot of people hate the minivan look. I don't give a crap. Minivans are the best vehicles in the world, not just because I have 5 kids. It's because they objectively can do more things than any other vehicle and do it pretty darn well. Carnival is just crushing it. Up almost, 15,000 units on the year and up about 1,600 units on the month. I'm curious. I want to see what kind of Carnivals are in my area. Carnival hybrid. Well, look at this. There's not very many available. 184. All right, let's get rid of the K4s here. Here we go. Hybrid EX 44K. Okay, not bad. Here we go. 38K. This is $6,000 off. $7,000 off. Math is bad. $7,000 off on a Kia Carnival Hybrid, 35 miles per gallon all day long, tons of space for a family. Do I like it better than a Sienna? And the answer is, oh, well, I'm going to review the Sienna next week, so stay tuned. I've reviewed the Sienna Hybrid many, many times. It's a very flawed product, actually, the Sienna. You feel very cramped on the inside, and it's not just the front passengers, it's the back passengers too. And the window space, it just feels very, very enclosed, where you get in a Carnival and you have much more light, bigger windows. The Honda Odyssey has more windows. It feels more roomy. All right. So like the Carnival, I probably would take over. Oh, I don't know. It depends on how good of a deal I can get on a Carnival Hybrid. Here's the thing. The Carnival Hybrid, like I said, there's 180 in my area, and you can get them for 38, well under 40K. I'll just say that, well under 40K. Let's look at a Sienna real quick. 47, 48K, 62K. That's disgusting. 63K, absolutely just. I understand that's a platinum. What is the cheapest you can get a Sienna? The demand for these things are out of control. 41, 42, and I guarantee this LE isn't as well equipped as the EX Kia. 43K. Would I save $5,000 and get a Kia hybrid? Probably. Oh, it's hard to say. You know, longevity and reliability and resale value is very important. Would you guys spend the extra $5,000? If you're leasing, it doesn't matter. If you're leasing, I'd for sure get the Kia. If you're buying and plan to own it forever, get the Sienna. Or if you're buying and you plan to sell it in 5 or 6 years, probably the Sienna. It's just hard to say. Okay, I personally would lease the Carnival, because in a few years, the new hybrid system would be coming for the Carnival. That would be really, really impressive. But even right now, this current Carnival is fine. And I enjoy driving it. Just not, if you take it in a turn, it's not good. If you have bad roads, it's not good. The Sienna handles slightly better. Anyways, the Odyssey beats both of the vans and everything except fuel economy. So depends on what's important to you. So let's get back. I could talk about minivans all day. Kia up. Guys, this is crazy. They had probably a record-breaking September last year. And look, they sold 7,000 more units, about 7,000 more units. That is massive. Look, they had a record-breaking sales year last year. And they're up about, what is that, 50,000 units? They're up 50,000 units above their record-breaking year last year. Hyundai and Kia are just operating a little bit like Toyota. Not quite. In terms of sales volume, yes. In terms of availability, Toyota is still in a land of their own. Most of their cars are pre-sold at this point. It's just mind-blowing, the sort of demand for Toyotas. But Hyundai and Kia are fighting hard with volumes still. And as a result, you can get a way better deal on a Kia or Hyundai than you can a Toyota. And you might be saying, yeah, duh, resale value is not good on them. Reliability, maybe not as good. Resale for sure. Reliability, Toyota is not what it used to be. And I think most of you would agree with that. However, Toyota's hybrids, though, are pretty darn good. Hyundai's, they are also pretty darn good. But there's one thing in a Hyundai and Kia hybrid that can fail, and that is the transmission. Toyota doesn't even have a transmission in their hybrids. That's what makes it very cheap to produce and very reliable. eCVT, it's not a transmission really whatsoever. It's a planetary gear split device. Takes out major complexity of an automatic transmission. However, to Kia and Hyundai's benefit, like I said, they're more fun to drive. And a 6-speed auto, they're not very complex. 6-speed autos have been around for 2 decades at this point, and they just keep making them better and better and better and more reliable. Big fan of what Hyundai and Kia are doing. They got body on frames coming from trucks to SUVs. They got new hybrids coming. They got e-revs coming. They have next generation EVs coming. I would love to have a Kia PV5 or PV7 electric minivan if it were available. It is not in the US, but I would love that. So I'm going to end it there. Hyundai and Kia are just absolutely crushing it. If we go back to here, The average brand success, the third quarter is 6%. Hyundai and Kia are double that. They're doing twice as well as the average automaker, which is just fascinating. But I got to shut it down. Thank you guys for watching. This is going to conclude my sales recap for Q3. I don't think I'm going to do any other brands. If you want me to do more brands, some of you were mentioning Volkswagen. I think I've gotten the most interest for Volkswagen. If we get, I know I'm trying to wrap this up. Volkswagen, I think, is down. Yeah, Volkswagen down 8%. Oh, so that's Volvo. Volkswagen down 6%. Audi is at a wash for the quarter, but down for the year. Volkswagen's not looking good, down 10% on the year. Just imagine how many EVs they sold between Audi and Volkswagen as well to just get to these neutral or negative numbers. Ooh, if you want me to, I could probably cover Volkswagen, but I really need to see you guys chat it up in the comments to convince me to do it. Have a great day, guys.